Hari Om, everybody. Welcome to Sri Krishna Group's Satsang, Satsang 9. Before we start, we chant the benefits of Satsang. Jadyam dhiyo harati kinchati vachi satyam mano natim dishati papam apakaroti chetah prasadayati dikshu tanoti kirtim Satsangati kathayak kinna karoti pumsam. Today's topic is Brihat Trayi Parichaya. As all of us know, Ayurveda is the ancient medical science in the world. We have roots of Ayurveda in the Vedas. Honestly speaking, nobody knows when Ayurveda got originated. It is believed that Lord Brahma himself created Ayurveda along with humanity. But then historians have come out with some numbers stating that Ayurveda was originated in 5000 BC or 10,000 BC, which is actually debatable. Now, what are these Brihat Trayi? We'll take a look at that today. As part of today's discussion, we'll see briefly what is Ayurveda and its origin. What are the important texts of Ayurveda? And then the three, I would say, eminent texts of Ayurveda: Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita, Ashtanga Sangraha, and the brief version of that is Ashtanga Hridaya. We will also quickly take a look at the important concepts that are mentioned and that are relevant to us, that are mentioned in these Brihat Trayi. Now, this is how we understand Ayurveda. This is how it is defined rather. Ayurveda is equal to Ayuhu plus Veda. The knowledge of life or science of life. In other words, there is another definition given. Hitahitam sukham dukkham ayustasya hitahitam. Manancha tacha yatroktam ayurveda savuchyate. The Ayurveda is a science that explains the remedies or techniques to achieve hitayu, advantageous life, good life. Ahitayu, to get rid of disadvantageous life. Sukhai, happy state of health and mind. And to achieve, what should we do to achieve Sukhai? And what should we do to avoid Ahitai, unhappy state of health and mind? So that is how Ayurveda is. Now, is it preventive or curative in nature? Preventive, does Ayurveda help us to prevent certain ailments? And does Ayurveda help us to cure the ailments? Ayurveda does both. In fact, the modern medicine predominantly focuses on curative nature and curative aspects, whereas Ayurveda works predominantly in the preventive aspect and also curative aspect. So what is the origin of Ayurveda? In fact, in the Vedas itself, there is information on how to use plants and natural ingredients to prevent or cure the diseases, ailments rather. And even in the epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, there are references to medicine and surgery. So it is as old as the Vedas. And probably prior to the epics, we are talking about the probably Satya Yuga, right? And According to historians, around 1000 BC, we had this Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita. They focused on 8 specialty areas of medicine and surgery. They discussed the basic principles of Ayurveda and also detailed various therapeutic techniques to cure Ayurveda by means of medicine and surgery. Pharmacotherapeutics, using the drugs for treatment, diagnosis, and modification of functionality of the body. Therapeutic properties of plants, animal products, and minerals are also discussed in these texts. So everything is natural, or byproducts of natural products. These are the 8 components of Ayurveda, rather, 8 areas of specialization on which Ayurveda works. I mean, the 8 areas of interventions, just like we have pediatrics, neurosurgery, heart surgery, and all that. We have 8 areas here in Ayurveda. Kaya, Bala, Graha, Urdhvanga, Shalya, Danshra, Jara, Vrusha. These are the 8 areas. Ashtavangani tasyahu chikitsayeshu samskrita. This is from Ashtanga Hridaya. Now, what are these 8 areas? Kaya Chikitsa is general body ailments. We go to a physician when we have fever or headache or running nose or sore throat. So whatever the physician does in the modern world, it is referred to as Kaya Chikitsa. Kaya is body, Chikitsa is treatment. So deals with the general ailments of medicine. We call it general medicine also in the modern world now. Bala Chikitsa, pediatrics, and it is also called Kaumara Bhatya. It deals with 2 aspects. Child care, it starts with pregnancy, and then child care, various diseases of women and children. Compared to the modern medicine, there are 2 branches of modern medicine that are dealt with here: gynecology, obstetrics, and pediatrics. Graha Chikitsa, which is about psychiatry, also called Bhuta Vidya, and it is all about psycho-behavioral therapy and leading to spiritual therapy also. Urdhvanga Chikitsa, neck and above region, and it is also called Salakya. We have ENT surgeon here, ear, nose, and throat. It is also part of Urdhvanga Chikitsa. Dentistry also comes part of this. Whatever ailments that are related to head also are part of this. Chalakya, very important aspect. Shalya Chikitsa, surgery. Various operations that are required based on the body conditions. It is said that sage Sushruta has performed numerous operations and even performed plastic surgery. So all these surgeries were done, whatever is being done today were probably done at that time also. Right. Danshra Chikitsa, toxicology, or it is also called Agada Tantra. It deals with the toxins, elimination of toxins, treatment of toxins, and also dealing with the poisons. So that is dealing with the epidemics, right? Creating antidotes and all that. Jara Chikitsa, treating the old age and what to do to increase the lifespan and live a long, healthy life. Also called Rasayana Tantra, preparation of various rasayanas, medicines, in order to help individuals or people to live a happy and healthy, long life. Vrishya Chikitsa, aphrodisiac therapy, also called Vajikarana, is about sexual vitality, and it deals with infertility problems, how to produce a healthy and ideal child. Right? It is also mentioned here that based on the timing, based on time, um, I mean, you can decide a time based on which you can aspire for a girl or a boy. Right? It is very surprising. We have not known all these things for a very long time. Now, in Ayurveda, there are two schools of thought. Even in modern world, there are two. They are divided into two parts: physicians and surgeons. Physicians deal with the ailments of the body, treat the body. Surgeons operate on the body, depending on the need. Now, Punarvasu Atreya is regarded as the chief of physicians' school of thought, and he had 6 disciples, among which many people have come out with their own compendiums, their own texts on Ayurveda. But we have only these Bhela Samhita and Agnivesha Tantra written by sage Bhela and Agnivesha available, and out of which sage Charaka has taken Agnivesha Tantra and expanded it, edited that, and he has renamed it to Charaka Samhita. Later, sage Dridhabala expanded the Charaka Samhita authored by sage Charaka, and it is available still as a Charaka Samhita expanded by sage Dridhabala. In the surgeon's school of thought, we have Divodasa Dhanvantari, who also had 6 disciples, out of which we have the work of sage Sushruta only, which is Sushruta Samhita. These are the initial texts, and then very ancient. They were produced before Christ. Now, the essential details of these Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita have been compiled together by sage Buddha Vagbhata and sage Vagbhata into Ashtanga Sangraha and Ashtanga Hridaya. There are 2 texts. These 2 are different texts actually. Ashtanga Sangraha is a very detailed text, which is for people who want to have, say, elaborate knowledge on these aspects, and also for the research purpose. Whereas Ashtanga Hridaya is a concise version written in shloka forms, which are useful for physicians and practicing people now. So, Ashtanga Sangraha is a complex text, a lengthy and complex text, and Ashtanga Hridaya is a short version of the same, more or less. Now, combining these 3, these are the Brihat Trayi: Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita, and Ashtanga Sangraha, Ashtanga Hridaya. So, what does Charaka Samhita contain? It is a source of internal medicine, whatever physicians do in the modern world. So it talks about the general philosophy of life, how to live your life and all that, and then the suggested treatment for different diseases. Sushruta Samhita has a systematic approach to surgery, and it also treats the diseases of eyes, ear, throat, and nose, head and dentistry. Ashtanga Sangraha and Ashtanga Hridaya, as I mentioned already, are the essential knowledge taken from Sushruta Samhita and Charaka Samhita and put together. Further updates are also made in these 2 texts. I mean, whatever that is not available in Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita have been added here. There are also 3 other texts that are called Laghu Trayi. I mean, I'm just mentioning for the sake of knowing. We are not going to discuss these today. Sarangadhara Samhita, written by sage Sarangadhara, it focuses on pharmaceutics. It elaborates the formulations and dosage forms for different ailments. Bhava Prakasha authored by sage Bhava Mishra. It has additional emphasis on medicinal plants and diet. Madhava Nidana by Madhavakara, diagnosis of diseases. There are three other important texts, known as Kashyapa Samhita, Bhela Samhita, and Harita Sangraha. We'll probably take another time to talk about these additional texts. Now, coming to Brihat Trayi, I'll take you people through what is available in these three texts now, without describing them in detail because we don't have that kind of time. And then we will also take a quick look at the most important topics that are relevant to us, that are present in these three texts and that are relevant to us even today. The Charaka Samhita has 8 divisions, which are called sthanas, 8 sthanas, and 120 chapters within those 8 sthanas. Now, what are these sthanas? Sutra sthana is the first one that talks about general principles of living, gives definition of Ayurveda, definition of health and all that. And it essentially talks more about prevention of diseases by living a healthy life. Right? And there are about 30 chapters dealing with all these aspects. Nidana sthana talks about pathological aspects, how to find out the root cause of diseases, which is like running tests. And also looking at the symptoms of the deceased person and finding out the root cause. Vimanasthana, determination of specific ailment. It involves a discussion of training a physician, what are the ethics of medical practice, and it talks about detailed pathology, diet, and how to nourish the patient, and taste of medicines also. Sharirasthana talks about the body, anatomy, and physiology, and how embryo is formed and how it develops is also discussed in Sharirasthana. Indriyasthana talks about Indriya, sensory organs, based diagnosis and prognosis, mostly based on the sensory response of the patient. So we did not have probably the all the instruments that are available today. So they mostly based on the symptoms and how the patient physically looked. Chikitsasthana deals with the therapy aspects, deals with the medicines and the treatment of diseases, several diseases. Kalpasthana talks about pharmaceutics and toxicology, and preparation and administering the kind of dosage that is required by the patient. What happens if that medicine is not taken appropriately, signs of their abuse, and dealing with the poisons also. Siddhisthana, what are the characteristics? How does the patient appear? What are the symptoms that we see when there is success in treatment? It is also discussed in Charaka Samhita. So those are 8 sthanas. Now, Sushrita Samhita has 6 sthanas and 186 chapters. As we know, Sushrita Samhita is all about surgery, but still it initially talks about the general aspects. In Sutra Sthana, it talks about the origins of medicine treatment and what doctors should be doing. And it talks about the 8 main orders of Ayurveda we discussed in the beginning, the 8 chikitsa areas. Nidana Sthana, Ayurvedic view on determination of the root cause of the disease, pathology. Sharirasthana discusses human anatomy and physiology, very important for the doctors. Chikitsasthana, the specific treatment methods for different ailments. Kalpasthana, preparation of medicines and all that. Uttarasthana, eye disorders, nervous system issues, and overall health are also discussed here. If we look at these names, they are mostly named similarly. And what is discussed in those different divisions is also related, right? Ashtanga Sangraha, which is a compilation of most important details from Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita, has 6 sthanas and detailed in 150 chapters. It again starts with Sutra Sthana, which discusses general principles of Ayurveda very, very much in detail. If somebody wants to read and get to know the general details of Ayurveda, this is where probably to begin. Ashtanga Sangraha or Ashtanga Hridaya, which is even summarized version of Ashtanga Sangraha. And it also talks about diagnosis and treatment methods briefly. Sharirasthana discusses anatomy, physiology. Nidhanasthana, again, pathology, finding the causes of various diseases. Chikitsasthana, detailed treatments available and the kind of therapy that is to be administered. Kalpasthana, same as Sushruta Samhita, formulations and preparations of medicines. Uttarasthana, it talks about the special topics like pediatrics, geriatrics, and gynecology. Now, this is quickly what is available in these 3 major texts. And what are the important concepts from these texts that are applicable to us even today? If we understand these important concepts, there are more actually. I've taken only a few of the most important aspects. Let's take a look at that. It is said in Ayurveda that every substance in this universe is made up of Pancha Mahabhutas. You know what they are? Prithvi, Jala, Vayu, Agni, Akasha. With the combinations of these Pancha Mahabhutas, the Ayurveda discusses 3 doshas: Kapha, Pitta, Vata. It is a combination of Pancha Mahabhutas, and every substance in the universe can also be described in terms of the doshas, Pancha Mahabhutas and the doshas. Right, and there is this definition of health by Ayurveda. We are going to see that in a few minutes. But according to that, these 3 doshas have to be in balance. And sometimes there is aggravation of one of these doshas or suppression of one of these doshas that can be identified by the symptoms, and appropriate treatment can be administered. Ayurveda also helps us to go for preventive therapy by consuming the rasayanas. We can keep 3 doshas in balance. So there is a lot discussed in these texts. I mean, if you look at Ashtanga Hridaya, you can even find out the regularly consumed food items and how they are classified in terms of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So we know which substance aggravates a particular dosha, which substance pacifies or neutralizes a particular dosha. Such details are available in these texts. In fact, we can spend 1 hour talking only about the doshas. Agni, what kind of Agni that is there in our bodies? It is actually classified into 4 types: Vishamagni, Tikshagni, Tikshnagni, Mandagni, and Samagni. So, dull fire and excessive fire, the balanced fire, and the other one is low digestion causing Mandagni. So we will discuss in how the effect of these on the body's digestion process, and how to basically consume food or medicines to influence these Agni also. We then have Sapta Dhatus. These are Sapta Dhatus make our body. They're actually Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Majja, and Sukra. We'll discuss that probably another time. We have three malas: Purisha, the feces, Sweda, sweat, and Mutra. Depending on the appearance or the smell associated with the mutras, it is also possible to identify whether the person's health is in equilibrium or not. Such discussion is also available in Ayurvedic texts. The most important of all the concepts is the 6 states. This is unique to us, unique to Ayurveda. The modern medicine does not talk about this concept at all. You know, in modern medicine, we have this nutrition, vitamins. Ayurveda does not discuss vitamins separately, nutrition as such separately. It talks about food in terms of 6 states. You may have heard of King Nala as one of the best cooks. We say Nalabhima Pakam, right? King Nala has written in his Paka Darpana that using various ingredients, using these 6 tastes, I can create the appropriate dish for any person with any ailment, and I can cure such a person in no time. Such is the importance of 6 tastes concept in Ayurveda. The Madhura, Amla, Lavana, Pitta, Katu, and Kashaya. And all the food items we consume are also classified based on these 6 tastes. And we know what to consume if we need something. Right. Ayurveda then talked about immunity, bala. How to basically keep the body in equilibrium and how to improve the strength of the body to face the external ailments. Another important concept is Viruddhahara. Depending on the body's constitution, a person can have all 3 body constitutions, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. We are a combination of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And in some of us, Vata is dominant and the other 2 are not so dominant. Some of us have Pitta as dominant and some have Kapha as dominant. And in Ayurveda, I mean, these texts, it is also mentioned the characteristics of people belonging to different constitutions. Vata person looks like this, behaves like this. Kapha person looks like this and behaves like this. The body structure is detailed. Similarly, Pitta. Now, for these people, which food is helpful and which is harmful is also mentioned. Viruddhahara, people are supposed to avoid these kind of foods based on their Ayurvedic constitution. And then we have the daily regimen and seasonal regimen, Dinacharya and Ritucharya. There are detailed activities that are suggested to keep the body healthy, and we also live longer. While talking about Ritucharya, there is another important aspect that is discussed. What to do in a Ritu Sandhi? When there is a seasonal change, how are we supposed to move from one type of regimen to another type of discipline? One type of discipline to another type of discipline. How to move from consumption of one type of food items to another type of food items. It is also discussed in Ayurveda. We unfortunately ignore all these aspects, but then if we take these also into account and prepare our kitchen accordingly, prepare our foods accordingly, we can probably avoid all sorts of seasonal ailments. This is yet another fantastic concept from Ayurveda texts. Ashtavidha Ahara Vidhi Visesha Ayatana. This is 8 aspects regarding to food consumption. Food has to be consumed based on a person's prakriti, nature. And the process of preparation has to be taken into account, which is karana. Some yoga, compatibility of foods, there is vriddhahara and there is acceptable food also. Rashi, how much quantity to consume. Desha, the place. It is also mentioned that the foods available produced in our place where we live are most compatible to us. Foods from other areas have to be consumed carefully. Kala, time, the time of consumption and how the prakritis, vata, pitta, kapha, change according to time of the day and time of the year, time of our lifespan also. Upayoga, some rules of eating. There are certain rules mentioned. What to eat first and what to eat after that, what to finish with, which taste to start with. We are suggested to start with Madhura Ahar. That is why in India, in our country, whenever there is a celebration, we start with the sweet. Ayurveda is embedded into our culture. And we end with the curd and then plantain, banana, which is picked up. We are supposed to end with those things according to Ayurveda. These are all part of rules of Ayurveda. Right? So these are the important concepts that are still relevant to us. Right? And if we look at the secret of good health, there's the it's not a secret actually, it is definition of health. My apologies, the heading is wrong. Definition of health according to Ayurveda. Samadosha samadnishcha samadhatu malakriyaha. Prasanna atmendriya manaha swastha iti abhidiyate. Samadosha. Doshas, the 3 doshas, vata, pitta, kapha, the agnis, dhatus, sapta dhatus, malakriyas. When these are balanced and when Atma, Indriyas, Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas and the Manas are in a pleasant state, then only a person is said to be healthy. That is the definition of health in Ayurveda. And it also says, secret of good health according to Ashtanga Sangraha, Nityam hitahara vihara sevi samikshakari vishayeshva sattaha data samas satyaparaha kshamavan aptopasevi cha bhavatyaroga. Obviously, it is easily understandable. Hitahara vihara sevi, person who consumes healthy diet, heartful and unattached to the objects. Data, generous. Samaha, satyaparaha, equal-minded and truthful. Forgiving and service-minded towards the elders. Does not suffer from disease. And even yoga also mentions similar aspects when it comes to Ashtanga Yoga in yamas and niyamas. That is a little more elaborate. Now, Thomas, in the words of Thomas Edison, the doctor of the future will give no medicine but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. He was probably talking about Ayurveda at that time. And this is what is probably going to happen with the modern medicine reaching its limitations. It has been, people have been hoping that Ayurveda is going to be our life in the future. We have some time to for questions. Do you want to ask any questions?
Anyone is interested to ask questions, please raise your hand and ask. Okay. Can you explain about Dinacharya? What are we supposed to do daily?
It is, I mean, I have not memorized all these aspects as such, but then as a rough response, I can say it talks about getting up early in the morning. It also mentions, brushing the teeth and all that, applying oil to the body, exercising, having a bath, and then consumption of food appropriately at an appropriate time, and up to sleeping appropriately. There are 14 activities. I'm unable to explain them in detail. I'm very sorry.
Okay. And the seasonal changes, you said we have to move according to the season, from one season to another
Exactly.
season.
Exactly.
So can you explain briefly?
Right. For example, let us say we change from summer to rainy season. For summer, a particular discipline is recommended. A kind of food, this kind of foods are recommended for summer because the heat is more, digestive fire is more, based on the constitution of the person's body. And according to the season, there are certain food items, there are certain foods are the discipline that is recommended. Now, in the last 2 weeks of that season and during the first 2 weeks of the next season, it is a transition period. We have to transition from this season's regimen to the next season's discipline slowly, gradually, so that we consume foods that are required for the coming season, and we also change our discipline according to the coming season. So that transition is called Ritu Sandhi. This is the way to transit.
Okay, thank you, Mahadev. And how do we know what type of Prakriti we have?
Well, it is not so much detailed in these texts, but then there are I would say assessments available. We can share an assessment that our daughter has got from one of the universities. She attended a course on Ayurveda. We can share that. Based on the body's appearance, based on how we move around, how we talk, how we behave, it is possible to find out our body constitution. It does not give in terms of percentages, but then it tells us which is dominant and which is not so dominant.
Is the place also comes into consideration while taking food season? And
Yes,
Charya.
Yes, it is said in Ashtavida Ahara Visheshayatana that, foods that are grown in the place where you are born are more compatible to the body. They are from the same environment.
So anyone to ask any questions, any doubts regarding to our session? So, Abhi Mahodaya, can we conclude the session?
I'll conclude this presentation with the Shanti Mantra, and then probably we can go for the actual conclusion. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Namaste.
धन्यवादः महोदय.
धन्यवादः महोदय.
धन्यवादः महोदय.
धन्यवादः महोदय.
धन्यवादः महोदय.
धन्यवादः भगिनी.
बहुत धन्यवादः.